So before we look at factoring by grouping with an ax squared plus bx plus c when we have a coefficient, let's look at what we did already. So we've already seen some that are x squared plus 5x plus 6. And whenever we wanted to factor that, we wanted to look at how can we multiply two numbers to get to 6 and add two numbers to get to 5. And typically what we had to do was look at the factors that get us to 6. 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 3 is 5, so we made this x plus 2, x plus 3, and those were our factors. We're going to take that same idea, but now when we put a coefficient out in front, we have to pay attention to what that coefficient is. So if I did 6x squared plus 13x plus 5, I'm still going to look at getting a multiply, but now I'm going to do these two together. So that's the product I'm now looking for. So I want to find a way to multiply to 30 that adds to 13. Now, it is new, but really is it any different than what we did up above? Up above, if I multiplied these two, 6 times 1, which is the coefficient, is still 6. But now with that coefficient there, we're going to multiply. So I'm looking at ways I can get 30 that add to 13. So let's see, 30, we got 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. It's a positive product, positive sum, so I'm going to do 3 and 10. Now, I'm not going to write it as x plus 3, x plus 10, because that doesn't take into account the coefficient we have in front. So I'm going to take this 13x, and with my superhuman strength, I'm going to break it into two terms. I'm going to make it into a 3x and a 10x, which is still 13x. But now by splitting it, I have 4 terms. This is what gets us to the factoring by grouping. I'm going to look at these two terms first. 6x squared plus 3x have a common factor of 3x. If I factor that out, I'm left with x plus 1. 10x plus 5, I can factor out a 5, and I'm left with 2x plus 1. Got my 2 there. So factored out the 6x should be a 2x there. So these are the same. So I'm going to take that out of the whole thing, 2x plus 1, and I'm left with 3x plus 5, which is our new factor of that result, and I'm done. If I went back and multiplied, back in the reverse direction, I'd get the same thing. Let's do another one. Now, the process is always the same here. You're going to break them apart. What are we going to break them into? So, multiply. I need to multiply to get 12. I need to add to get negative 8. So, ways I can get 12. Well, 12 is 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. I need a sum of negative 8, and it's a positive product. A positive product and a negative sum means they're both going to be negative. So if I did negative 2 and negative 6, that adds up to be negative 8, which is what I want. So superhuman strength, we break it apart. We get 4n squared minus 6n minus 2n plus 3. Doesn't matter which order we write those in, it'll still work. I'm going to factor out a 2n. We have 2n minus 3. I want this to be the same, so I can't just leave it as it is. I'm going to factor out a negative 1. Makes it 2n minus 3. They match. 2n minus 3. What's left over? 2n minus 1. If these didn't match, we didn't do it correctly, and we can't do that. You're gonna have to go back and fix something, or maybe it's not factorable. Still going. Let's go 6x squared minus 23x plus 20. We look, we're gonna multiply to get 120. We have to add to be 23, negative 23. Now, how can we get a positive product with a negative sum? That means they're both gonna need to be negative. So let's look at factors of 120. I got 1 and 120, 2 and 60, 3 and 40, 4 and 30, 5 and Looks like 24, 6 and 20, 8 and 15, 10 and 12. A lot of factors there. And we're looking for the ones that add up to negative 23. It's a positive product, so they'll both be negative. If I did negative 8, negative 15, we'll go 6x squared minus 8x minus 15x plus 20. Factor the first two out, we get a 2x. Leaves us with 3x minus 4. Factor out a negative 5 in the next two. I'm left with 3x minus 4 together. 3x minus 4. Leftovers, 2x minus 5. There's our factor.